Every saxophone player is going to make a choice at one point. Do I want to do the jazz thing or do I want to do the classical thing? Today we're going to figure that out by using the Antigua saxophone. Hi everybody, my name is Andrew King. I am here at Alamo Music here in San Antonio, Texas. Please remember to visit us at alamomusic.com where I have all of the items I'm going to be describing available for purchase. Well, today is the day I'm going to talk about something that is very near and dear to me, the life of a saxophone player. Usually when it comes down to it, there are two kind of routes that a saxophone player will make at some point, maybe in school or even a professional career, that they kind of need to go down. You can do both, but most people tend to take one or the other. Either they're going to be a classical saxophone player or being a jazz saxophone player. Both are extremely rewarding in what they bring, the amount of music there is, the amount of culture that it brings to a life. But there are two very separate approaches to both playing that needs to be taken into account. And when that comes down to it, those can also take into account the type of equipment that you need to buy. From the mouthpieces, where you need to get, so say if you're a classical saxophone player, you need to get like a C-Star or an AL, like an Optimum mouthpiece. Or if you're going and being a jazz saxophone player, you might need to look into getting like a Meyer or a Jody Jazz or something along those lines. There's tons of different kinds of equipment that, and one of the other things that you need to worry about is the kind of saxophone that you're going to get. Now, of course, the sound is going to come from the player more than anything. When it comes down to it, the saxophone player is going to be having to get their embouchure correct, their airflow correct, and be able to be relaxed enough to get the full sound out of the saxophone when they play. The cool thing is that this kind of equipment can be used to not just give you the sound that you want. That's not the goal that you should be having when you buy this kind of equipment, but rather to augment the abilities that you already possess towards the goal that you want to reach. Today, I'm going to be using examples of one of my personal favorite brands, Antigua Winds. For the longest time, Antigua Winds was based here in San Antonio, Texas, and I was actually able to work with them at some point while they were here in San Antonio. Developed a very good relationship with them. They allowed me to use one of their horns in the summer, just as a disclaimer before I go on with these horns. Now, the two horns that I'm going to show you are kind of to their professional line, very entry-level professional line instruments. One is going to be the alto sax, the 5200 model. Then the other one is going to be what's called their Powerbell model. When it comes to playing both of these, I'm going to very much say that if you're going to get one of these two, have in mind what kind of saxophone player you want to be. It's very important, and it'll help you get the abilities that you want to get while also making your sound as productive as possible in your journey to becoming the best you can be. Now, when it comes to being a classical saxophone player, this kind of comes down to, honestly, what happens in school. When you're in school and you're going through middle school and high school, a lot of what you're going to be doing is definitely going to be on the classical side. If you're from here in like San Antonio, Texas, for example, or you're doing any kind of regional performances, a lot of the time the region band stuff that you're going to be playing is going to be doing classical saxophone work. So when you're doing that, then you got like solo and ensemble, you're very much pretty much invited to just play a lot of classical saxophone. A lot of the repertoire is going to be a lot of French stuff. It's a lot of the Fairling etudes. It's going to be a lot of those kind of music. So when it comes down to it, that's definitely going to be the route that a lot of people are going to want you to take, especially when you're taking private lessons in the beginning. It's definitely a much larger portion of what you'll also be doing in your higher education when you're playing the saxophone. So say if you're playing the alto sax like the 5200, which I'm going to show in just a second, that instrument is very good for showing the abilities to have basically a nice round tone. It's very round, dark, centered. You have plenty of resistance to your sound, so you can grow into that resistance, and it makes a very complex sound that is meant to not only blend, but also sing in certain parts. There's tons of great music for the saxophone when it comes down to it. I've personally played things like Scaramouche, the Tableau. There's tons of other great classical saxophone repertoire that is out there and available that you can look at, and a lot of it is available online for free. Now, when it comes to the 5200, this instrument has a lot of what a classical saxophone player is looking for at a price that is actually at a fraction of what you would be looking at for, say, a really nice Yamaha or Selmer going in the same way. So say if you were playing the 5200, the ergonomics on it are fantastic. One of my other favorite features on it is going to be the G sharp key, which has a very good, it's basically a double arm release switch on it and everything like that. So when the spring and everything lifts up, it doesn't ever get stuck, which can be something that you might worry about. The standard bell and everything like that, as well as the tone holes, are very much rounded in the way to support the kind of more beautiful sound that the classical saxophone is going to require. It's also extremely even intonationally. So no matter which kind of embouchure you're playing, as long as it's relaxed and a full focused air, the saxophone is going to be singing along with you and not getting in your way. You don't have to make as many huge adjustments when you're playing it. The other saxophone that we're going to look at today is going to be what is called the Antigua Powerbell series. Now this one is very much akin to what most people know in this line is what I would say the cannonball saxophones do. These are large bell saxophones. So larger bell means better projection, much more, well, not better projection, but much more powerful projection. It's a bigger bore on it. It means that you're going to be able to put more air into it. The keys and everything like that and the ergonomics on it are going to lend itself much more to doing things like getting flicks on different half-step notes. The instrument also lends itself extremely well to high levels of projection, especially with the different kinds of lacquer that are available and finishes that you can get on the Powerbell series. This one is definitely one of the instruments that the Antigua Winds brand overall, especially for the last 15 years, has been very much known for. The Powerbell is definitely known they use the Powerbell series on each of their instruments. So they have one for the soprano, they have one for the tenor, alto, and bari. They're all extremely good saxophones, and they all come in these different finishes that are very unique. And very striking visually, which is something that a lot of saxophone players, especially in the jazz genre, might be something they're more akin to. One of my other favorite things about the Antigua Winds Powerbell model and everything like that is going to be definitely the free-blowing nature of the instrument. When you're playing jazz and everything, one of the most important things is going to be sound. As saxophone players, especially say like me, when I play lead alto or I'm playing in a quartet or anything, the ability to be over my band and be able to play it, produce the melody, and be able to control what's happening around me and be heard by my band, as well as having a focus on my sound, it allows me to be able to control and be able to project very harshly what I'm trying to portray with my music. That means that if you're looking to become a jazz performer, this is actually a really good saxophone, especially if you're going into high school or you're going into college. This is a saxophone that will take you extremely far. And again, the cool thing about Antigua, in my opinion, is that you get these high quality saxophones at a very low cost as far as when it compares to the more modern, bigger name brands. While I have nothing against Yamaha, Selmer, or Yanagisawa, the unfortunate part is that their price ranges are very high. So the price to admission can be unfortunate sometimes, especially for students that are not as well-meaning or not able to get into it because of that barrier of entry. What the Antigua models basically allow you to do is you can get these instruments that are high quality, but because of the low cost, you're able to play it and you'll be able to have a good time with it. So that kind of thing is something that, even with the students that I have, is something to keep in mind. And eventually you can just save enough money and everything like that and use these instruments to perform if you're really into it and really serious about it. And you can use that to go towards a more professional models as well. So as far as those two, that's going to be a lot of what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to show you a demo so far of the two saxophones and my approaches to both as far as the different kinds of playing. Let me know what you think. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you liked it and everything. I hope I showed kind of the two differing views and everything as far as that goes. This video was absolutely inspired. Sax Logic and Better Sax Shop, they just put out a video and everything. I highly recommend checking that video out as well. Just wanted to add a little more to the conversation on my end. And I wanted to show one of my favorite brands as well, Antigua. It's super important to me. They helped me out in a very different time of my life and everything too. So these saxophones mean a lot to me. And we have a ton of them available as well here at alamomusic.com. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Tell me, are you a jazz player, classical player? What's your favorite piece of music to play? I would love to know what you think. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.